Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. How's everybody doing this Friday morning? Hope everybody's having a great morning. Good to see you all. Sister Winsome. Sister Winsome is always on the ball. Sharp remains idle. How are you doing, Sister Winsome? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome again, guys, into my live. This is Trev from Trevessence and Stale News. And this morning, like every other, we are going to be continuing with the Bible reading. For those of you who are just coming, just discovering the channel, let me introduce you to this preface. Now, I do not endorse any particular religion or denomination. When you see me on my live reading the Bible, I am on a quest to read this Bible from the beginning to the end. And so I have chosen to read it out loud. Um, I do not purport to be a theologian. I am not trying to indoctrinate anybody one way or the other. I am simply on my journey. This journey is mine, but I have chosen to do it out loud. So when you come in, you will hear me stumbling over the discoveries in the Bible as I travel on this journey to read the Bible from the beginning to the end. When you come in, you are welcome to to share your knowledge. You are welcome to share. What you are not welcome to do is to come into my live and berate me and tell me I'm blaspheming and I'm going to hell and all this kind of foolishness. I've come across some of you who who are so invested in your religion that you can't stand somebody who does not share the same view with you, and that to me is mm, 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 mm. similar to the people in the Bible. Yeah, so you ain't too far from the people in the Bible with the intolerance, but it's not the place for you. Go somewhere where somebody is teaching you about the Bible and trying to convert you, and then you and them can have a conversation about why you need to be or not need to be converted. I am not here to convict, convert, or condemn anybody. I am simply here sharing my journey. All right. So, with that, if you care to, you may follow along in your book Bible, your Google Bible, whichever Bible you have. You are welcomed to follow along because I know that even the people who are quick to condemn you and to convert you, they themselves have never read the Bible from beginning to end. They do not have context, wholesome context for what they are trying to convince you to do. Because why? They just can't be bothered with reading the Bible. The Bible too long. It's too confusing. Me cannot be bothered. Yeah. So if you can't be bothered with reading it, how in the world you can be bothered with trying to convince somebody that its contents, they are supposed to follow its contents? And as I am reading the Bible, I am saying, the individuals who did these documentations that were compiled to be called the Bible, these were all Jewish people who made their experiences on earth, whether they were actual or perceived experiences, known through documenting them. But our people have taken this on as though it belongs to them. But anyway, that's not why we're here this morning. We're going to be reading the book of St. Matthew, chapters 8 and 9. That's where we're at. It's taken us 2 years to get here. Yeah. It's taken us 2 years to get here, guys, and we are finally here. We are finally at the book of Mark going through. Might take us the rest of the year to get to Revelation. But guess what? We are not in a hurry. Ain't nobody running after me. Ain't nobody chasing after me. So I'm going to continue to take my time and read one chapter, one verse, one book at a time. So welcome, Julia, Sophia, Tamar, KK, TGG, and others. Welcome into the live. Thank you all much for coming. All right, let us begin because I don't have a lot of time this morning for the chitter chatter. All right, so we are going to move right along into the reading. Mark chapter 8. Why is my light not coming on? I can't read in the dark. Now, just a little bit of a recap about what we read yesterday. Now, yesterday we read where Mark was giving his account of Jesus and his preaching and teaching and healing along with his disciples. It was actually a repeat of Matthew's account of the same incident in which the woman came to Jesus to ask him to heal her daughter, and Jesus said it is not fair to give the child's food to the dog. The only difference that I noted there was that the woman in Mark's account was said to be a Canaanite woman, while the woman in Matthew's account was a Canaanite woman, and the woman in Mark's account was a Greek woman. I don't think that really matters. I think the message is more profound than the nationality of the woman. Though I would have expected them, since they claim to have been giving us first-hand information, I would have expected them to give us similar information. I wouldn't expect any information that is contrary, but we have seen this repeatedly in the Bible. Different people give accounts of the same situation, but the information is not the same. There is some differences, some stark differences in the information that is provided. And for some people, that spells a red flag to say, these people in the Bible be telling lies. I wrong you. Yeah, I mean, if you and I can see the same star, and I say I see a star, and you say you see a stone, the two information are not the same, yet we were in the same place and seeing the same thing. Why was it important for the information to be misconstrued, to be presented erroneously? Why? Don't know what the objective would have been, but we are going to continue reading. Mark chapter 8. In those days, the multitude being very great and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples unto him and said unto them, I have compassion on this multitude, because they have now been with me for 3 days, and they have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way, for divers of them came from far. And his disciples answered him, From whence can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? And he asked them, How many loaves have ye? And they said, 7. And he commanded the people to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves, and gave thanks, and he broke the bread, and gave to his disciples to set before them, and they did set them before the people. And they had a few small fishes, and he blessed it, and commanded to set them also before the people. So they did eat, and they were filled. And they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets. And they that had eaten were about 4,000. And he sent them away, and straightway he entered into a ship with his disciples, and came into the parts of Dalmanutha. Let us continue. Verse 11. And the Pharisees came forth and began to question with him, seeking of him a sign from heaven. They were tempting him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and said, Why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall no sign be given unto this generation. And he left them, and entering into the ship again, departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than one loaf. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, and of the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he said unto them, Why do you reason because you have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, nor understand? Have your heart yet hardened? Having eyes, see ye not? And having ears, hear ye not? And do ye not remember? So, right here, guys, these disciples, they something else, They something else. This whole time, these disciples are with Jesus, and Jesus is performing all these miracles, and he's using 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed a whole multitude of people, 4,000 people. He's using that little bit of food to feed a whole 4,000 people, and yet the disciples doubt him. They go into the ship with 1 loaf, and they reason amongst themselves to say, we don't have enough food. How we are going to manage? Even though they are with the person who had just used 3 dege loaves. 3, and not 3 or 5. 5. Right, Rosemary? It was 5. Janet, good morning to you. Yeah. The same person who had just used 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed a whole multitude of 4,000 people. Red Cherry, how are you doing? And yet, they are in his presence, and they are doubting that he will be able to help them with food, even though they saw what he just did. So here he says, so we can't deal with them people here. You have eyes, but you don't see. You have ears, but you don't hear. And I don't think it's because them have eyes and ears, I think the disciples, remember, the disciples did not choose to follow him, He was the one who selected them. He was right when he said they only love him with their lips. Their lips are with him, but their hearts were not with him. Because I think in their hearts, they were still doubtful, envious, and jealous of this person. Where the money come from, man? And where him come from? We not gonna get no prayers if this man is going to be here sapping up all the praise from the people. Look how many people following behind him. So I think there was an element of jealousy there. There was an element of underlying hatred right there. Andrew is here. Morning, Andrew. Good morning to you. How are you doing? So we are going to continue, my friends. Let us continue. Verse 19 says, when I break the 5 loaves among the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments did you all take up? They said unto him, 12. All right, so Jesus proving himself to them now. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments did you take up? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, how is it that you do not understand? And he came to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man to him, and they besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon it, he asked him if he could see anything. And he looked up and said, I see men and trees. Men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up, and he was restored and saw every man clearly. Now we don't understand what is the objective, why the story them different. Remember in Matthew, it's a Jesus rubbing, spitting at the clay. He said he spit in the clay and rub up the clay with the spit and put it upon the man's eye. But here so, Mark say him spit upon the man's eye. Me not understand what is the... Me don't know if it is a lack of attention to details or it is a deliberate attempt for each person to present their story different from the other person, because we know that there is all of these stories, when presented by different people in the Bible, usually have some variations in the story, some differences, you know. And here I am wondering, what's the importance of that to the author? Why would they feel the need to alter the story somewhat? So if two people present me the same story, but the two stories are different, I don't know which one to believe. I don't know which one is true. Even though with these stories, I can look beyond that and say, all right, then, the stories are taking a similar path. So I can just look at it look at the meaning of the story rather than the intricate details that are so different. I could do that, but still, if me and Jimmy are at an event and me come where me say Buju was on stage 9 o'clock, and Jimmy writes at his report and Jimmy says Beenie Man was on stage 9 o'clock when Beenie Man wasn't even there. We have to have a problem, right? So I don't like this the information like this. Now I'm not gonna know who to believe. People them who read in my account and Jimmy's account not gonna know who to believe. They say, Kuya, Trev say I did Buju up on stage and Jimmy say I did Beenie Man. So it's either that Trev don't know Buju or Jimmy don't know Beenie Man, one or the other. But it cannot be the same person because they're two different people. But we are going to continue anyway. Even with the differences in the accounts, we are going to continue. And for those of you just coming, we are on the book of St. Mark chapter 8 and verse 26. And he sent them away to his house, saying, neither go into the town, nor tell it to anyone in the town. And Jesus went out, and his disciples, into the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say I am? And they answered, John the Baptist. But some say you are Elias, that's Isaiah, and others say you are one of the prophets. And he said unto them, but whom do you say I am? And Peter answered, remember, Sir Peter was the one who denied him, remember? But Peter said, I don't know this man from nowhere. And Peter answered, hold on the people. And Peter answered and said unto him, thou art the Christ. And he charged them that they should tell no man of him. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and he rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spake that saying openly, and Peter took him and began to rebuke him. Peter is something else, Peter deny him, now Peter they rebuke him. Well, it's the same story actually. It's not a different story. It's the same story, just different person's account. Let's continue. Verse 31. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spake that saying openly. And Peter took him and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. All right, so Peter rebuked Jesus, and Jesus said to him, Get thee behind me, Satan. Why did I think that in the Bible it was really Satan Jesus was talking to? Anybody else thought that? Why did I think? That's what I thought. I thought that this saying, "Get thee behind me, Satan," was actually said to Satan. But now I know it wasn't actually said to Satan. It was actually said to Peter by Jesus. And this is why I love reading to myself, because all my life I have been thinking that that phrase had been said to Satan. But look at this. It ain't being said to Satan. It was said to Peter. Let us read that again. And he spake that saying openly, and Peter took him, excuse me, and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked at it on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that are of God, but the things that are of men. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for the sake of the gospels, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Roderick, good morning. We are jolly good fellas. We are jolly good. Morning, Jolly. How are you doing? And Stephanie Daibai. Good morning, Stephanie. Morning, Stephanie. And Estrella, the star is in the place. Buenos dias, Estrella. Good morning to you. Welcome into the live, guys. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you much for popping in. This morning's live is coming to you from the book of Mark, chapters 8 and 9. Yeah. So you're welcome to follow along with me. Thank you for sticking with me, Jimmy. I appreciate you, my love. Thank you so much. Let us continue. We are now going to move on to chapter 9. All right. Mark chapter 9. And he said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that there be some of them that stand here, which shall not taste of death, till they have seen the kingdom of God come with power. And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John. Him still a walk up and down with Peter. Me don't understand this. People, me don't understand this. Remember, Peter denied him, you know. Peter denied him. Now, Peter rebuked him. So much so that he have to tell Peter to get thee behind me, Satan. And now in chapter 9, it says, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, and led them up into a high mountain, apart by themselves. And he was transfigured right before them. And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can white them. And there appeared unto them Elias with Moses. No, this Elias, is Isaiah. Isaiah with Moses. And they were talking with Jesus. Now we know, guys, this is rather interesting. We read the same thing in the book of Matthew, and this is rather interesting. Why it is interesting? I want to remember, say, Moses did not even reach the promised land. Remember, say, Moses died even before them cross over River Jordan. The children of Israel cross over River Jordan. And according to the Bible, them don't know until this day what happened to Moses' body. Yeah, remember we read that. So here now is Jesus. This is about 28 generations later. So this is hundreds of years later. Yeah, about 28 generations later. And here they are saying that this is Moses and Isaiah standing up on the mountain talking with Jesus? Interesting, huh? Very. All right. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. For he was not what to say, for they were sore afraid. So Peter, James, and John were so afraid seeing Jesus talking with Moses and Isaiah, considering Moses and Isaiah had been dead for many, many, many years. Moses was dead even before the establishment of Israel. Moses was dead even before the establishment of Israel. But let us continue. Let us continue. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man anymore, only Jesus with them. And as they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what things they had seen, till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. So Jesus was telling them, not tell nobody what just happened. Not tell nobody, say up on the mountain, when we went up on the mountain, we saw Moses and Isaiah. Don't tell anybody anything until after I have been crucified and risen from the dead. And they kept that saying with themselves, questioning one another what the rising from the dead should mean. And they asked him, saying, Why say the scribes that Elias must first come? Now, you all remember that the scribes, that this is what they had been teaching the people, that for the redemption of Israel, Isaiah will have to come and save them. Now, according to their history, their most profound prophets were Moses and Isaiah. And then later on, John the Baptist with his preaching and baptizing was also. And because their teachings said that Moses was going to come and Isaiah was going to return, every time the people encountered a prophet that they thought came with special gifts, they kept thinking of Moses or Isaiah. Now, when Jesus comes with all this profoundness, more than they had ever seen anyone come with before, the people, they must scratch them head and say, well, is this Moses? Is this Isaiah? Is this John the Baptist coming back from the dead? Who is it? Because whoever they are waiting on has to come back from the dead, according to their literature, according to their teachings. So now the people are confused. They don't want to give Jesus his stripes. They don't want to say, yes, this is Jesus and he has more powers than even Moses had, or even Isaiah had, or even John the Baptist had. They don't want to do that. Because for them to admit that it would mean that they're going to deny themselves. They don't want that. You see, excuse me, see, oh, you can't please people, you know. No matter how mighty and powerful you are, no matter what Jesus showed them, no matter how many miracles he performed. You see how long he has been traveling with Peter? You see how long Peter has been by his side? And even until now, Peter still have doubts about his powers. And it's not like somebody is telling Peter these things. Peter is actually there, experiencing it with his own eyes. Yet, Peter have such exponential doubts that Jesus have to rebuke him, tell him, "Get thee behind me, Satan." He's just like this stark antagonist in Jesus' side as Jesus continues to do his work on earth, well, according to the scriptures. All right? But we're going to continue here. Verse 11 of chapter 9, and they ask him, saying, "Why say the scribes that Elias must first come?" And he answered and told them, "Elias verily comes first, and restores all things. And how it is written of the Son of Man, that he must suffer many things, and be set at naught. But I say unto you, that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed, as it is written of him." And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about him, and the scribes questioning with him. And straightway all the people, when they saw him, were greatly amazed, and running to him, they saluted him. And he asked the scribes, "What question he with them?" And one of the multitude answered and said, "Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he tears him, and he foams, and gnashes his teeth, and pines away. And I speak to thy disciples that thou should cast him out, and they could not." So here, after Jesus has come back from off that mountain where he was with his three favorite disciples, here now is someone coming to him with a son, that was clearly disabled. He says the son continues to gnash his teeth. I can imagine maybe that child has cerebral palsy, and those involuntary movements of the muscles that occurs in that situation. I guess that's what was happening with this child. And the person says, "I have brought my son, and I had brought him to your disciples." Now those would have been the other 9 disciples that did not go up on the mountain with Jesus. The man had brought his son to them, but they were not able to heal him. So now here is Jesus, and he's bringing his son to Jesus for the healing. Verse 19, he answered him and said, "O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him to me." And they brought him unto him. And when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming. And he asked his father, "How long is it ago since this came unto him?" And he said, "Of a child. And oftentimes it had cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Jesus said unto him, "If thou canst believe, All things are possible to him that believe. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. Oops, daisy. And the spirit cried, and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not he cast him out? So these disciples, these are the 9, they are asking Jesus, how comes they were not able to cast out the deaf and dumb spirit out of this young man? And Jesus said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. So here Jesus told his disciples, you couldn't cast out them spirit, because that kind of spirit can only come out of someone if you do prayer and fasting. How would that card? Good morning. I was wondering where you were, How are you doing, sis? Good morning to you. Welcome. Welcome into the live. I appreciate you. Verse 30. And they departed thence and passed through Galilee, and he would not that any man should know it. For he taught his disciples and said unto them, The Son of Man is delivered into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and after that he is killed, he shall rise the 3rd day. But they understood not that saying, and were afraid to ask him. And he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, What was it that ye disputed among yourselves by the way? But they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. So you see what me that tell you, say? I was telling y'all that there was some jealousy going on amongst the disciples. I felt it by just reading what I was reading. I felt as though the disciples, they did not, as Jesus said, they loved him with their mouth, but not with their hearts. And I could sense that. They felt as though if they could absorb all this power that he was exuding, if they could absorb it and get rid of him, they would. Because you see, those people, it was just a power thing, a power grab. Everybody wanted to be considered to be the best prophet. If you notice, even in Jeremiah, even Jeremiah, remember, Jeremiah was talking foul even about Moses. For each of these prophets, for them to make themselves to be greater than the one before, it's like a politician. They have to degrade the other person's work. They have to try to convince others that the other person is no good, so the people can follow them. So I think these disciples, now that Jesus had chosen them, remember these were fishermen, not like they were priests or anything. And these fishermen that he had chosen, now they felt as though they were now elevated. Their stature in society had been elevated. The people now know them. The people the people can now identify them. They were unknowns, but now, having traveled with Jesus all this time and being and being seen with him, now they think that, you know what, enough people know us now. A lot of people know us now, and they know us to be able to perform miracles, because remember, Jesus had given them the gift to perform miracles, and he was sending them out into the streets. So they were healing the sick and all of that. So now they feel as though they have been elevated in society. So now the source of their elevation they want to eliminate, so that they can have the glory and the power. Me say, you see, people, you ever hear some people say, when they work somewhere, they don't carry people to go get a job there? You might have a little job. That used to be, when I was in Jamaica, that used to be prevalent. Somebody has a job someplace, and they look out for the people in the community, and they say, at my job they want a janitor, you're willing to come get the work there. Or at my job they want a typist, a secretary, or whatever, and they would help to work their way in for the person to get the job. And when the person get the job, the person now start to lick head with other people against the person who got them the job. So you ever hear some people say, no matter where me work, nobody where me know, me now go invite them to come get a job there, because that happens quite often. Somebody tell me, must read Isaiah 14 verse 14. All right. I could see what brother Isaiah is saying in 14 verse 14. All right, come with me, guys. Let me see. Isaiah. I have to read back the book of Isaiah again, because Isaiah is mentioned so many times. We need to have the book of Isaiah down packed in my brain. Isaiah 14 verse 14 said, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Okay. So Isaiah did predict that he will ascend, but it looked like him did ascend for true, because even so many years afterwards, him and Moses presented on the mountain with Jesus. Okay, is that what you wanted to point out? That he had predicted that he was going to be, he would ascend into heaven. But Moses, oh, you say the devil that attack? Hold on there. That was the devil that said he shall ascend into heaven? I think of Isaiah. Hold on there, people. Hold on, let me go back to Isaiah. Let me go back. Isaiah chapter 14. And verse 14. Let me go back there. You said that was the devil speaking? Really? Let me have to go read that all again. I have to go read that. Not today though. I'm gonna have to read the entire thing again. As I said, there are two books that I'm definitely gonna have to read again. I'm gonna have to read the book of Isaiah. I'm gonna read the book of Jeremiah for the 10th time again. But God said that was the devil speaking. I'm gonna read that again because I don't know. You say he was speaking of the devil? Wait, me not get it. Something not right. Either something not right or me not right. Something not right here, so. Are you saying in verse 14 of chapter 14 of the book of Isaiah that says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High? You say that was the devil speaking? Well, let me see if I can read a little bit of this. And they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy violence, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Oh, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend unto heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Okay, I got you. So there is Isaiah speaking of Satan. Okay, so you see, it's a good thing. That's why I tell you, say, reading the Bible with context is so very important. If you don't read the Bible with context, you are not going to be able to understand it well. So I went back and I read from verse 10 of that chapter, of chapter 14 of the book of Isaiah, all the way down, and that brought me to the realization that indeed Isaiah was speaking of the devil. Like, Satan, how you get kicked out of heaven because you go up there, go try to take over the place, go try to rule the place. Well, I see him, so these disciples want to kick out Jesus because they want to rule. But let us continue with the book of Matthew. Thank you so much for that card. Thank you so much. Matthew chapter 9. But they held their peace. That's when Jesus was asking the disciples, what was it that they were arguing about? And they held their peace. They never said a word. For by the way, they were arguing among themselves who should be the greatest. And he sat down, and he called the 12, and said unto them, If any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all, and the servant of all. And he took a child, and set him in the midst of them. And when he had taken him in his arms, he said unto them, Whosoever shall receive one of such children in my name receives me. And whosoever shall receive me receives not me, but him that sent me. And John answered him, saying, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and he follows us not. And we forbade him because he follows us not. All right. You get what John tell Jesus say? They saw a man who was casting out devils, but that man was not a follower of Jesus. So they told him, you can't be casting out devils if you are not a follower. But Jesus said, forbid him not. Don't stop him from casting out devils. For there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me. For he that is not against us is on our part. For whosoever shall give you a cup of water to drink in my name, because he belong to Christ, verily I say unto you, he shall not lose his reward. Let me read that again. And John answered him, saying, Master, we saw one man casting out devils in your name, and he follows us not. So we forbade him, because he follows us not. But Jesus said, Forbid him not. For there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name, that can lightly speak evil of me. For he that is not against us is on our side. For whosoever shall give you a cup of water to drink in my name, because he belong to Christ, verily I say unto you, he shall not lose his reward. And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him that a millstone were hanged around his neck, and he were cast into the sea. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, where their worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. And if thy foot offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter halt into life than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, where their worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. For it is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye, than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire, where their worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. For everyone shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. Salt is good, but if the salt have lost its saltness, wherewith will ye season it? Have salt in yourselves, and have peace one with another. And here ends the reading of Mark chapter 9. And right there, guys, in the end of that chapter, that's a parable where Jesus is saying, if you're right and offend you, cut it off. Because it's better to enter into heaven with one hand than with the 2 hands that you have been doing nothing good with. If your foot offends you, cut it off. It does not literally mean to cut off your foot or cut off your hand or pluck out your eye. It does not literally mean that. It means to get rid of whatever it is that is hindering you. Whatever it is, here he's talking about their salvation. So he's saying whatever it is that is hindering them, that they should get rid of it. And once you get rid of it, he's telling them it is better for you to get rid of whatever it is that is hindering you, because you and that hindrance, whatever it is, will not be able to survive in the kingdom of heaven. You are not going to get there with that hindrance. So you better get rid of it prior to, or else you're going to burn in this proverbial hell. And he compares that to salt. You know, salt is good. You put salt on your food, it catch up the flavor, it make your food taste good. If the salt does not have any flavor, does it make any sense putting it on your food? It don't make no sense, because nothing can replace salt. So it would make no sense to put salt that has no salt in it on your food. That would be just droplets of crystal, but not salt. All right, God, I would love to have stayed here with you all a little bit longer, but This morning I am running out of time. Time is yeah, I'm running out of time this morning. So therefore I am going to have to leave you all this morning. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live, those who stayed, those who commented, those who God, I want to say thanks to you. You are the real OG when it comes to these early morning lives. I sincerely appreciate you. And Jimmy, thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy sort of stood with me for a hot minute there. I appreciate you, Jimmy. Thank you so much. So, guys, this is where we are going to end the reading today. I see Malkija Ben Recab is in the house. Welcome, First Lady Hugh. Michelle Brooks, thanks to you all for coming in. I sincerely appreciate you all. Yeah, this is where we are going to end the reading this morning. When we come back tomorrow morning, I'm going to try when we come back tomorrow morning to continue the reading of the book of Mark, chapters 10 and 11. So join me again tomorrow morning, same time, same place on the Talk and the Tube of Trevisant, where we will continue on this journey to read the Bible from the beginning to the end. That's going to be it from me for now, my friends. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevisant, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a fabulous day, everybody, and I'll see you all later.